So
let's,
I didn't send you a link today, but there's been some identity thefts in Toronto with people selling someone's home that they assume the registration.
that was organized crime, wasn't it?
Yeah, the last one I just got it about 10 minutes ago from a friend of mine. But the other one, it's they didn't say how the guy was connected other than he got in and had the property re-registered in their name, and it was a significant amount. It was a $900,000 condo. Yeah, that makes yeah, Alex, that is a well. That kind of ruins your day.
Well, we've seen that out here, Mike. You know, I mean, before. So we're on that note, we're pumping up the FINTRAC a little bit, and as a matter of fact, I got some as a result of some contacts in Alberta that you know about, Mike. But they have some kind of program that I'm looking at that helps us with FINTRAC and identifying people. So, you know, if you guys are going to probably hear a lot about it going forward. With Daisy and I about your FINTRACs and what's going on with those. So we're going to be scrutinizing those a lot more because FINTRAC's scrutinizing us. So we're paying really a lot of attention to that and the proper ID, and make sure that you're, you know, posting, you know, a little bit more about the people we're dealing with, and that you know, retired isn't a profession. What, you know, retired teacher or that kind of thing, or retired fireman, whatever it might be. So you know, we're going to be looking at those. We're looking at monies coming in from, you know, the deposits and so on and so forth, and bank wires. And so you're going to be hearing a little bit more about that in the coming months coming up. So just FYI, don't worry about it. It is part of the process. The Canadian government is really pushing on that hard right now for FINTRAC. I've been taking a whole bunch of courses. We're going to have an actual training program on FINTRAC. Probably in February. Just need to prepare it properly and make sure I'm doing all my due diligence and getting all my ducks in order. And this program might help us out. I haven't had a look at it yet, haven't had time, but it's an app on your phone that it kind of guides you through everything, gives you the forms and that. The one thing about FINTRAC that we find that I find that a lot of people, it's complicated, is when you get into a business and you have to FINTRAC the business, and the ultimate thing on FINTRAC is that, you know, we have to find out who the principals are. It's not just good enough to have a company search on the business. And what a company search is, it just tells who the directors are and such like that. And Angel can do that for you. So if you do have a business or a holding company that's buying or selling a property, she can do a company search for you, and it'll have the directors. But if it's a larger company, we need what we call the articles of incorporation, which tells, you know, how much the ownership is of each person, and what they, and to make sure that they have signing authority. So we don't want the janitor in some company selling the property on behalf of the owner. So you know, that's what the articles of incorporation do, and the bank needs those for signing authority and so on and so forth. So when we're dealing a FINTRAC on a company, we just make sure we have to establish who the owners are, and we got the right person, and then we have to do a FINTRAC on the owners. So excuse me, when you do have a corporation that is involved here, you have the corporate FINTRAC, and if you go online and you go into web forms, you're going to find all the forms for a corporate, you know, entity, and how to identify them. And then you have whoever that person is signing, you have, you know, the FINTRAC on them as well. So there's kind of two parts to that, and the third part is to identify who in the company is, you know, beneficial owner or more than 25%, or who is the signing authority. So when you do have a situation like that and you have questions about it, give me a call or give Angel a call. We'll help you through that one there. Like, you have something, you're on mute.
Sorry, a question for you is, last week we had 2 FINTRAC requests. One was from one of our realtors. Customer was in Toronto area and needed a FINTRAC signed and all that. And then we got one request yesterday from a realtor in Century 21 in Edmonton that their customers coming in today to get FINTRAC signed. So is there some checks and balances that we need to do when we send that request out to another office to assure them that we know who this customer is?
Well, yeah, there's a process there. There's an agency form. We're acting as their agent, or they're acting as our agent. So you can get somebody from another country, another office to do your verification for you. If it's another country, I'd probably prefer a lawyer or notary, where they go in and they show them their ID, they show them their passport, their driver's license, and the notary identifies them directly. That's probably the best thing we can do.
Okay.
And that would probably solve some of these problems that happened in Toronto and happened here in Vancouver that we know about, where we're getting the proper ID, or having somebody giving us agency. We have one that came through us. It was something in Taiwan or something that we want to make sure a lawyer, a notary has met with that person, has actually seen their ID and can attest to it, and they got credibility. And credibility would be another. The good thing about Century 21 is we have offices all over the world. So I've sent people into offices in wherever it might be, and to identify them. And when they, like the guy in Kelowna that sends it to me, I've allocated Angel, because if we're not here, she can do it on my behalf, but she'll take a photocopy of the ID or the passport, and she'll write the numbers down and all that, the same as they would do if they were in front of me in their office. The lawyers were, for a bit of time there, allowing identification over Zoom, but that's kind of gone by the wayside. I talked to Ken Pasner, and he says that in extreme situations, I guess, when they're immune deficiencies or something, and they're worried about getting sick or something to that effect, they have an exception. But on a regular basis, they have to really go in and identify and show their ID, and that's what we need to do. That's what we're looking for. You got to see the ID in person. You got to have, a passport or driver's license, or a federally issued identification. If it's from out of the country, we're going to have to kind of look at that a little bit differently, because it's not a Canadian government ID that we're using. So the other way they have, and I've never used it before, I use it in mortgages, and Paul can kind of attest to that. When you take an application for a mortgage applicant, we do all the due diligence on there. We get the SIN number, we get ID, so on and so forth. But we also do a credit bureau check, and confirming all the information that we have on them. So as realtors, we're not mortgage brokers. We don't have that level of sophistication. Sorry, Paul, you had something?
I just wanted to add, we've got some pretty strict know your client rules with all lenders. So these checks and balances tend to happen on each step of the way in the process. So mortgage broker, lender, realtor, lawyer. So as it trickles down, the regulators put it on all of us to make sure we're doing our due diligence, and we're all responsible for it. I'd go as far to say most of our lenders, having people sign overseas, wouldn't rely on a lawyer or notary. Those lenders that would allow that would actually want a client to go to a Canadian consulate to make sure it's signed. There's a lot of lenders that won't trust a notary or lawyer out of country. So they're pretty strict on that stuff. But
for identification, I'm not trusting that.
Yeah, things are tight, right? Every time somebody breaks a rule, the rest of us have to add more paperwork to the file. So these checks and balances, used to be just at the lawyer, but now it's on all of us to make sure we're looking at everything and knowing who we're dealing with. And I've got to do corporate searches for clients that want mortgages and company names. I need to know who's on title. I need to know who can sign. Then the lenders do that check too, to make sure I'm not making it up. Then the lawyers do that check as well. So we're all looking at it.
Well, yeah, I think the thing is that we all used to pass the buck and say, the lawyer will do that. They'll check their ID and all that. But that's not the case anymore. It's our responsibility to do our due diligence. So make sure that the guy sitting in front of you is pretty easy. You take the photocopy of the ID, and you got a driver's license from BC, and the guy looks the same, and his signature is the same, and you're likely okay. And if something were even to go wrong, we've done our due diligence on that. I think the case in Toronto, there was about fraud. They made up false identities and so on and so forth. So I mean, there's really not much a realtor can do about that. If they're, I can't tell the difference between fake drivers. Well, like probably, you know, in certain cases you can't, they're too fake, but I'm sure these people are pretty sophisticated and have the machinery and, you know, all of the stuff that to make them look real. So, but we got to do our due diligence. And if something does happen, I mean, we do have errors and omissions and so on and so forth, but if you haven't done your due diligence, you could get everybody in hot water, including me and the office and everything else. So
What about title insurance?
what about what?
Suggesting title insurance.
Yeah, title insurance helps prevent that as well. I mean, and you hear different stories. Title insurance, by the way, guys, is if generally speaking, what we used to explain it as is that, let's say you bought a house and the fellow before you put a garage in the backyard or something, but they didn't do a proper survey, and the roof of the garage overhangs into his neighbor's property by a couple of feet. The neighbor does a survey on his property and he finds that you're overhanging and he wants you to move the garage, and the garage is going to cost you, $20,000 to move it. The title insurance would protect that. It also does some protection, and we'll have to get Ken Pasner on that one about title insurance with regards to fraud and how it specifically applies to that. I'm sure it helps out. So, but there's an expense to it. If it's for the bank only, it's about $300 or $400. If the client wants it for themselves as well, you know, it's about $500 or $600 as far as I know. So we'll have a little bit more on title insurance, but Mike, I think that's a good thing. But another expense for your client to add into, you know what I mean? It's not up to us to tell them they should or shouldn't get that. And the thing is the fraud guy, well, I mean, to protect the seller, I guess, I don't know, but the bottom line is, I think in 2023, guys, we're gonna have a lot of rules out there that are cumbersome, and we don't really necessarily agree with them, but we have to comply. And we're gonna have different courses. We're gonna have a PDP credit course on FinTrack. And I was just talking, moving on with that. We want to get that covered as soon as possible. So that'll be coming up pretty quick, so that we have a policy on that going forward, and it's out there for everybody to follow. The other one that I wanted to today, I really wanted to talk more about prospecting, and how do we get ourselves out there, and how do we differentiate ourselves from the crowd? Because what seems to be happening in the marketplace right now is that the reason that the prices are holding steady is not because of the sales, but it's because of the lack of inventory. So it's basically a supply and demand issue here. Nobody's listing their house, so and there's a lot less demand. There's a lot less inventory out there because people aren't listing, so the prices are holding. If we get a boom in listings, there's going to be more listings than buyers out there, and the supply demand equation is going to change a little bit. You're going to have more supply than demand, and that'll cause prices to drop. So we'll see what happens in the spring market going forward. But sorry, I got to keep my throat's kind of dry today. I don't know why, but anyway, one of the things I've been seeing out there that seems to be attractive to a lot of people is that if you go back the last 5 or 10 years in the real estate market, anybody who's bought 5 or 10 years ago has a whole heck of a lot of equity in their home. If you would have bought 10 years ago, the price of your house is probably doubled at least. And if you bought the place for 900,000, it's probably worth $1.8 million. And as a matter of fact, I'm starting to get calls from friends of mine that are saying, "Look, Doug, I'm thinking about buying a rental property. What have you got?" And the last guy called us on the couch there, and he get a text message from an old friend. And Christ, he's from Nanaimo to Chilliwack. So I put a big circle on my Paragon like this all around the thing, and I sent them everything. It's like 200 of them that are rental, approved for rentals and so on and so forth. So, but we certainly got to narrow it down. But and then he wanted to talk about mortgages and what his rate is, and the thing was, I found out his rate is 6.9%. Well, all kinds of flags go off in my head, and the flags aren't flags; they're opportunities. 6.9, Paul. Can you do better than 6.9 on a mortgage?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, right? So right there, ba-ding, cha-ting, there we go, referral to Paul would be, in order here, and then he's gonna do an equity takeout. He can talk about getting the more money to buy this rental property and so on and so forth. So I've got to change gears now. I've got to change my search parameters. I've got to change everything up to accommodate that. But the thing is, what I'm also seeing is that other experienced realtors and guys that have been around a while, is I'm looking at their marketing online. I follow everybody as I follow you guys, and I'm starting to see a lot more ads popping up, or whatever you want to call them, about, hey, I started investing in real estate at a young age. I've got 2 or 3 rental properties. By the way, if you'd like to know a little bit more about, if you're thinking about buying a rental property, why don't you give me a ring? And for those of you a little younger, it may be your parents, friends, or family, or something like that. But everybody has equity. I mean, anybody who bought a house the last, either 5 or 10 years ago has got a whole crap load of equity. The guy that bought last year, not so good. You know what I mean? If you bought at the end of 2021 and early 2022, the market has probably dropped, and not a lot. If you look at the stats, it's probably still up about 1% from last year, but it's not up the 30 or 40 or 50%. If you look 10 years ago, it's crazy. So there's a lot of equity built up in the marketplace now, and I think it's time for us as realtors to kind of go after that market. And what I want to do is, I haven't really talked to Mike about this. His name's Doug Foles up there, but he keeps stealing my name and impersonating me. So we'll talk to Mike and Paul, and we're going to have a conversation. And what I'd like to do, guys, is and I thought about this, and I thought, well, my clients are calling me and they want me to do this and that. But what I'm here for today is to help you with prospecting, not me. And I'm just seeing what I'm seeing in the market. But what I thought would be a good idea for realtors, especially new realtors and some experienced guys, is that we put on a seminar for you that's all about attracting rental or buying rental properties, and how it affects the banking side of it, how to do an equity takeout, how to explain to your clients how to do an equity takeout, and then going from there, how to purchase a property and what you're looking for. And from there, we even have and I haven't talked to Mike about this, but we're going to have our PREC accountant guy come in the next month or 2 to talk to you guys about PRECs, personal real estate corporations. But he can also help us with with these rental incomes and what the people can write off and so on and so forth. So we'll get him in there. And the other part of that is probably we'll get somebody like Ken Paz, the lawyer, to talk about their part. So you're going to have kind of a four-part seminar for you guys to kind of explain to you how that works. And it's not for your clients, for realtors, and how realtors can. I'm going to use the word parlay, because we're coming up on the a lot of football going on and a lot of betting going on. Parlay means you just move something on to make it a little bit better. But how to parlay that to your clients and maybe start working on that rental property market and getting people into that. Obviously, and what precipitated that in some of the ads was the government, and the government, David Eby in particular, came up with this rental property changes in the laws, and that they couldn't restrict it, and the only thing they can restrict, they can't restrict under 19, and a condo association couldn't restrict rentals. Well, that's going to be a big dynamics here, and of course our rentals here are crazy expensive. So we got to revisit all those numbers again to see, is it worth buying a rental? Are you going to get a return on your investment, ROI? Are you going to get a good return on your investment? How to explain that, and how to do the numbers so that it works for your client. As I said, my buddy there was talking from Nanaimo to Surrey, and the reason he's talking to Nanaimo to Surrey, because Vancouver doesn't really work. You can't buy a 1-bedroom apartment for $1 million and rent it out for $3,000 or $2,500 and make money on it. It's not going to happen. But if you bought something in Nanaimo for $500,000 or $400,000 or $350,000 and you rented it out for $1,500, you could probably do have a decent return on your investment. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, so you can start putting that stuff out to your clients and starting to make some noise in different areas. But That's kind of what I personally am going to focus on in the coming months up through the spring market, to kind of get some seminars for you guys. I want to talk about FinTrack and make sure we're covered on that. I want to talk about, we're going to have some special PDP credit courses with Paul there. He's going to do Realty 101 or Mortgages 101 to get you guys all the little things that you might need if you're not familiar with mortgages. He'll help you through that and give you some leg up on that one there. And we're going to talk about investments in rentals and what the pros and cons of that are and what the numbers are and what you're kind of looking for going forward. So those are the next kind of by the end of March, I kind of want to cover all that with you guys and have these out there, as well as getting together a little bit more in person. I think we're kind of behind the COVID, and I think we all need the synergy going forward. We got Theo and his gang out there in North Van. I think we need to go out there and welcome them to the team and have a big party and that kind of thing. And of course, Mike can buy all the booze, but I'm never going to hear the end of that one. But we'll have some fun with that, and let's enjoy it a little bit. I mean, it's going to be a tough market, and we all work very, very hard. And I think it's we want to have some events to get together and socialize a little bit, and at the same time learn a little bit going forward, because we're going to have to really differentiate ourselves as realtors. And being with Century 21, I think it's one of the top brands out there, and it's got a lot to offer. I don't think we get enough mileage out of it, but with our help and Mike's help and everybody, I think we can do a lot of really, really good things and get some really good information out to your clients. That's all I have for now, Mike. I don't have a lot of stats or anything. You got something you want to?
Well, now that you spent all my money, yeah, Theo and Greg, I was looking at you guys. I can't see it. You're all blurry for some reason, but yeah, I'm meeting with those guys tomorrow, going over an action plan for the office. We haven't done a big announcement yet. We want to make sure the windows are done, so when we take some good pictures, it's ready to go. But yes, I totally agree with Doug. We got to get our butts back in the office. I know a lot of you are coming back in, and I really appreciate that. But we got to. There's business in the office. There's no business in your kitchen. I was talking to Mike Walton the other day, and
hi, Mike. We turned on the light and we turned off the blur.
Oh, you're beautiful, baby. You're beautiful.
Shiny.
I was talking to Mike Walton. He says anybody that's worth their weight in salt that's doing a lot of real estate business is doing it from the office. They're coming in quite a bit to be seen. So and build a relationship with the staff to get your stuff done. So get yourself in. I'm in there every day, and I'm working every day. And Doug, maybe another guy for a pop by in the office is the new president of the BCREA. I forget his name, but he's a pretty solid man and really well respected in the business. I was talking to Lydia yesterday, and multiple offers have seemed to be kicking around over the last couple of weekends. And the product of choice is the one bedrooms. And anytime in a slow market, since I've been around since 05, the one bedrooms have always been the gold nuggets. So if we got a lot of one bedroom listings and you're looking for something to do, I'd be standing in that price range of don't think you get it anymore. She got the last one for just over 500,000. So for anything from 5 to 700 grand, I'd be the first person wanting to do the open houses there. I'd be the first person to be grabbing a list of the one bedrooms in prime areas by the universities, because that's where parents like to buy condos for their kids to go to school. And especially in this market, and when after 4 or 5 years, they sell it for a profit. We've done that 3 times for 3 of my cousins, and it paid for their kids' educations. So start talking about one bedrooms. If you don't have any inventory, go find it out there. You're allowed to do it. You're allowed to talk about the building. You're allowed to talk about the neighborhood. You're allowed to talk about the price, and see if that generates something. Because it's not going to hurt you, right? It's definitely not going to hurt you to be promoting real estate, because it's kind of your job, right? And I love the idea with Doug about the prospecting. There's umpteen different ways to prospect. But if you are not putting in 2 hours a day in prospecting, you'll never get anywhere. You can sit in front of a computer screen all day long and look up listings and stuff like that. But if you're not reaching out to your sphere of influence and reminding them and or telling them what you're doing and proving to them that you're in the game, then they won't be your cheerleaders and they won't use you, right? So and anybody that's new into the business, I've always said to you guys, even before you're licensed, start talking to your sphere that you're getting licensed, you're about to get licensed, because they're excited for you and they might give you a nugget, right? And for those of you that have been in the business for 20 years, don't assume everybody remembers what you do. You got to keep tapping them on the shoulder and asking them for help. Theo and Greg, what's going on the North Shore, boys?
It's the same old song and dance, but it's funny you mentioned multiple offers, because I wasn't in multiples, but I even wrote an offer last week on a house for 2.7, and there's a backup offer on it now, and there's 2 other groups wanting to write back. Like, people are out there for well-priced and well-presented properties, no matter the price point, right? So there's just such a cultivation of inventory. So
well, that's exactly it. It's there's lots. I forgot who told me this one, but they said there's lots of inventory out there. You just got to find the ones that want to sell. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of doors that could be Vancouver, but nobody's calling them. Nobody's mailing them. You got a couple bucks to spend. Do a social media post that you're doing an open house. Spend $50, get in front of 1,000 people. You got a listing, spend $200, get in front of 10,000 people. Right or wrong, I always say this analogy: kill some trees and do some flyers, because flyers do work. And even some paraphernalia like notepads. Sam McCall, Remax. This guy still knocks on our door once a year to say hi. He knows who we are, right? That's the kind of stuff that should be going out, because I don't care what company you're with. If I need a notepad, I'm pulling it out of the drawer and I'm using a notepad. So make sure they're big enough that you can write on and stuff like that. Those are good spends. We had a guy in the office, Mike Stewart, when he first started his career. Didn't like to spend money, but we convinced him that to spend something on promotion, and he bought the cheapest pens you could ever find, and it just said MikeStewart.ca. Ugly color, red and blue, had nothing to do with his brand or an image or the company, but his pens were everywhere. He used to walk into restaurants and leave them on the counter, hand waiters and waitresses 10 pounds. So when you're writing your check, they were all over the place. Guys, now that scenario doesn't work as well, because we're all just tapping now, right? But there's got to be something that you can spend a little bit of money on to get a big and have some fun with it, type of thing. There was a guy, Oliver Poe, who's now moved to whatever country he's in now, and he went and bought shopping bags with Oliver Poe Real Estate, and they lasted and he paid pennies per bag, got them from Asia, took forever to get, but they were around the market for years and years and years, even after he was out of the business. So there's other ways to prospect too, and I think, Doug, this could be a monthly weekly scenario that we just give some nuggets out there and look at.
Hey, Mike, just on the prospecting note, if I can add something, just an idea. I've got a lot of clients that live in Vancouver, the Lower Mainland, that if they are looking at downsizing and moving to the interior, they don't have a realtor here to list properties yet. They start looking in Kelowna, Kamloops, Vernon first, and they start calling realtors there to see what they have. So I think realtors reaching out to smaller markets to build relationships with offices in smaller markets is a really, really good start. If they're getting calls for people that want to buy in Kelowna and just downsize and get out of the city, If you got that relationship built, that realtor might throw that listing back your way. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Being the largest brand in the world doesn't guarantee you one referral unless you try. So when you travel, go meet like, kind, and quality. Pick up the phone and call 5 Century 21 broker owners every day in Canada. Just introduce yourselves to see if they if you can send them an email to try to get business from their office. I mean, 2 hours a day, guys, it's not a lot of time. You can time block it and it will change your life. Real simple. I don't think I have anything else, Doug.
Well, a funny story about that, Mike, I got a call, you know this guy, Mike Harris, and I thought it was the guy at Ottawa. But he's from Victoria, and he got me on the phone, I answered the phone, and he goes on and on and on and on. I hear his whole life story. I'm trying to get rid of this guy. Who are you? I'm trying to figure out what he is. He's not the Mike Harris from Ottawa. It's some guy that moved from Calgary to Victoria, and it's. But I got to give the guy was tenacious, and he's trying to get leads and so on, and referrals was the whole thing. But it took him a half an hour. I finally got rid of him. I had to get rid of him. But I mean, there's a guy sitting on the phone call. You gotta appreciate the effort there. So that, and the other one is the other guy that sends it out. I think it is the Mike Harris from Ottawa that sends out a really nice brochure to everybody. I pay 25% referrals for anybody coming into Ottawa. So an email is cheap, guys. You could do up a really nice email, good picture of yourself in there, and send it to all the people in Century 21, and things like that are pretty good. The other thing is networking with the people in your neighborhood, the restaurants and the stores and the laundromat and so on and so forth. Get out there and do a little promo on them and talk about them and what they're doing and who the owner is and so on and so on. Do a little Instagram or something on them, and you're going to have a built-in client that's going to refer you anytime and say, well, by the way, you mind if I leave a couple of cards at the counter here at the dry cleaners or whatever. And all those people, they'll refer you out. I mean, I used a Turo guy. I don't guys know what Turo is, but it's the car rental thing that's not budget, it's not enterprise. And ended up, the guy was driving me to the airport, and I was telling him about rental properties and how to buy an old property, fix it up, renovate it. He's a young guy, just in university and all that. He got all excited about all this stuff, and he wanted my number, and he wanted, he thought, well, should I do it in Vancouver? I happened to be in Edmonton at the time. Should I do that in Edmonton? Where's the best thing? And the whole conversation, and we're stuck in traffic, unfortunately, was about an hour about talking about rental properties and so on and so forth, and how to maximize on it. So I think the best advice I can give you is get excited about what you're doing and talk to people about it. I talk to relatives about this or that or something else, and they get all excited about it. So, get excited about opportunities. Everybody's looking for an opportunity. They have a few bucks to spend. Maybe you don't want to get involved in something like that. REITs are a really big thing. That's real estate investment corporations that are buying rental properties right now is very big. So it is a lucrative business. If you know what you're doing, you can do it. And we've got a lot of our realtors in the office here that have rental properties. I know that are doing very well on them and have numerous ones. So get out there, get excited about what you're doing, guys, and share that excitement with your people. Find a good project that you're working with. Go visit all the projects. Make sure you know what's out there and what's inventory. Find out what their deal is and what's going on, what down payment they have. If they have, a lot of these guys are now going with 5% down. You can get into it. It's not complete until 2024, that kind of thing. So get excited about what you're doing and talk about it in your day-to-day life, because you never know who that person might be for an investment. So that being said, we're going to kind of close it off, and I just want to kind of reiterate, we will have a seminar on investing in rentals for realtors alone in this office. We'll pick a venue, we'll pick a time. It'll be in the next couple of months here. We will have a Mortgages 101 PDP credit course. Actually, investing in real estate will be a PDP credit course as well. So you'll be able to pick up PDP credit courses for that, for your Mortgages 101. We're also going to have a FinTrack course in the next couple of months as well on what to look for in FinTracks and going forward. that being said, if you have any topics that you would like to have discussed or a seminar on them or discussed in the meetings, or you have somebody, a tradesperson that you feel has done a very, very good job for you, or somebody you'd like to see as a guest speaker in our meetings, send me an email, send Mike an email, and we'll have them. We don't want just anybody in there, but we want, you know, credible people. If you provide, you know, you change the locks on all your new houses for your clients, and the locksmith comes out, does that, does a great job, and charges you a couple $100 to do it as a free service. We would be open to, you know, having that person come in and do a 5-minute, you know, little spiel on that. So whatever service people are using, you know, they're welcome here too, just to come and introduce themselves. And as long as you're, giving them the credibility, we're good with that. That's all I got, Mike. That's it for now.
Yeah, that's that. Me too. Nice, good content. Appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions or anything?
Karen.
Hi
Thank you,
there.
Karen.
Hi, everybody. So you had mentioned about, you know, it's been a buyer's market for a while, but I have noticed that there's been a lot more product come onto the market since January 1, compared to, like, say, November and December. I'm just curious what your thoughts on that, how that's going to change the dynamic moving forward. It seems like there's a correction happening.
Well, we're going to have a spring market come in for sure. I mean, there always is one. It doesn't matter. And that means there's more inventory on the market. And it's going to be, I don't think anybody has a crystal ball on that, Karen. We'll see what happens on that one. But, you know, generally speaking, it's the old rule. You know, more supply, the supply and demand rule. And the more supply comes on, the less demand, and it'll affect prices. But I think going back to Theo and Greg there in the North Shore, and Lydia as well, there's multiple offers out there as well. So again, it comes down to pockets. If it's well priced and it's, you know, well presented and it's, you know, a good job, you're gonna do okay. If it's a dog and you haven't done all the proper, you know, photos and everything like that, it's not promoted properly or overpriced. Most of them are overpriced. They're just not going to move. So I think that the market will be there. It may not be as robust as you've seen in the past, but if you're sharp, you're going to find the deals out there for your buyers. And if you're a seller, if you're doing your job marketing it well, and getting it out there and doing all of the right things, and you're pricing it right, you're not going to have a problem with the market. It's going to be a little slower for sure. We're going to have to work a little harder, but that's life. I mean, we've been here before. I've seen it where interest rates are 18%. So, you know, life went on. So I know, pretty scary, but I don't think we're going there at all. But what I'm saying is that you know, this is nothing. You know, 5, 6, 7, 8% is still nothing. All of the, you know, from 1990 to about 2004 or 5, the rates were 7, 8, 9% anyway. So, you know, the market moves on. So don't let the negative information out there taint your get excited about it. Yeah, so what? It's still a good time to buy. You know, you're not buying an investment. You're buying a place to live in a lot of cases. Not talking about the rental thing, but yeah, just keep on moving. Don't listen to the negative energy going on.
Excellent. A quick question for Paul. I think you had mentioned in our WhatsApp group that 5-year rate is somewhere around 4.5. Is that right? Yeah, 4.5 right now.
Yeah, we've seen some rates come down. So the bond yields have shifted a little bit. We're seeing fixed rates come down. So as low as 4 or 5 for qualified insured clients. It's highly likely that we're going to see some competition with lenders when it's a slow market. These guys want big market shares. So I would expect fixed rates to continue to drop into the spring. We're probably going to see one more increase in prime tomorrow for good measure, and then that should be hopefully the top. And the positivity to relay to clients is it's down from here, and looking forward is going to be a good time for everybody. Yeah, Doug mentioned the news media. There's so much negativity out there, and it's our job to get people thinking away from that. We don't want to talk about what's on the news. Turn Facebook off, turn off global TV. It's garbage. It's just there to scare people. Buyers don't care about rate. Buyers care about payment. Yes, in the long term, interest rates will cost you money. But if you're comparing what it would cost for your family to rent a property in Vancouver or the Lower Mainland right now, compared to the cost to own one, that mortgage payment is the talking point. And the long-term investment is well worth paying a little bit higher interest right now. So people don't care about rates unless they're having dinner with friends that have a better rate than them. And then it's somewhat a competition, but talking about what they would pay for renting a 4-bedroom house for their family compared to what a mortgage would be. And I can do that calculation quickly at any time over the weekend. If you're having an open house, shoot me a text or get on the WhatsApp. I'm happy to crunch some numbers and let you know what a payment roughly would be for that client so that they can figure out where they need to go.
Yeah, I have a friend who locked in at 1.8 for 5 years over a year ago. I was like, way to go.
So good, so good. Yeah, I mean, this business is all about talking points, whether you're selling real estate, talking about restaurants or cars. The conversation will always come back to what you do for a living. And that's sort of how you build relationships and get people talking. Eventually, they're going to figure out you're a realtor. So right now, the biggest point is interest rates, and people are in pain with variable rates for sure, and lines of credit. Getting that conversation started will inevitably bring up, we might need to sell our house, we might need to downsize. So these are all opportunities for everybody to start that conversation, that they know you're a realtor, and when it's time, they give you a call.
Yeah, I think the key word there, guys, is that real estate is a long-term investment. It's not a short-term thing. So that's the bottom line on that one there.
Well, and also it's not about downsizing. Heather and I, we bought our house in North Vancouver. We bought it in 2005, Heather, or 4? Say 2004 or 5. We took a hit on the condo that we had to buy into a house, but we bought in at a slower market, and then the market changes. So it's, there's opportunities for, and you don't know what the other person's lifestyle is or income and stuff. So for somebody like it was us, we had good jobs, we were ready. We knew, my old man who's been buying and selling real estate for a long time, he says sometimes you got to take a little hit to get a bigger win. And that's exactly what we did. So there's good stories in different markets.
All right, well, we'll leave it at that, guys. Unless anybody else has any questions, we'll move along. I think stay positive. Lots of good things coming up at Century 21 for you. We're going to have lots of courses and seminars and get-togethers, and keep everybody motivated and happy and going forward. So have a great week, guys.
Sorry, Doug, one quick point. If anyone's on the call today that isn't on my rate sheet, just email me your information and I'll make sure I'm in contact with you. Rates go out every Thursday, and if anything changes, I'll usually post it on the WhatsApp. So it's just paul@pipelinemortgage.ca. Shoot me an email and I'll make sure you're on there for any information. Thanks.
Yeah, Angel, would you just send Paul a list of all the agents, please? And every time we hire somebody, Paul should get a notification on that as well.
I got that yesterday, Mike, but yeah, thanks.
All right. Okay, guys, have a great week. And those in the class, we'll see you guys 11 o'clock.